Welcome to my channel, Polymath. Have you heard of a special medical technology that can extract and preserve sperm through external force within 72 hours after a person's death for the purpose of reproduction? This year, the Israeli parliament passed a bill called the Continuity Law, which allows people to legally collect sperm after death, fulfilling the dreams of having children for anyone who desires it. Wait, this posthumous service is really unique. Why do Israelis want to have children even after death? Today, let's talk about Israel's Continuity Law. In March of this year, Israel passed the first reading of the Continuity Law bill. This bill stipulates that if a male soldier dies in combat during his service, his widow or parents have the right to ask a doctor to collect sperm after death as long as he signed a consent form before his death to continue his bloodline. The initiator of the bill also stated that the current bill is only beginning with the Israeli military, and if successful, they hope to allow all men in the country to enjoy this right in the future. Wow, this bill is magical no matter how you look at it. Because this means that someone will perform a sperm retrieval surgery for the deceased, and it also means that there will be many children born after their father's death, which reflects the desire to have children no matter what. Why does Israel have such a high willingness to reproduce? Is it really okay to implement this continuity law? Israel, the global champion of fertility rates. Usually, a country's economic development is inversely proportional to its fertility rate, meaning that as the economy improves, fewer children are born. In South Korea, for example, the average number of children born to women over their lifetime has gradually declined in recent decades, dropping to less than one person in 2017. However, Israel is not limited by this common sense, and in 2022, the average number of children born to women in the country was still 2.9. Some ethnic groups of women have a fertility rate of 3 to 4, and the ultra-conservative Haredi sect we introduced before has an average of 6 to 7 children per woman under the belief that having more children is a blessing. According to the United Nations 2020 to 2025 Global Fertility Rate Forecast Ranking, Israel ranks 59th out of 205 countries, which is in the top one-third and is one of the few countries outside of Africa. In addition, among the 35 major economies that make up the OECD, Israel has consistently ranked first in fertility rates. This high fertility rate has led to rapid population growth in Israel. When Israel was founded in 1948, it had only 800,000 people, but by mid-2022, the population had exceeded 9.7 million, an increase of 12 times in just 75 years. All of these data show that Israelis are truly full of enthusiasm when it comes to having children. In addition to natural production, this fertility performance is also due to Israel's advanced in vitro fertilization technology. Israel government will never abandon you. In order to fulfill the desire of infertile women to have children, Israel has been developing in vitro fertilization technology from a very early stage. The technology is also very advanced, and even though it is expensive, the Israeli government is willing to provide high subsidies to all women in need. They can try in vitro fertilization without restrictions until they have 2 children before the age of 45. According to statistics, 4% of new babies born in Israel each year are born through this technology. In addition, Israel's social atmosphere and government policies are also very child-friendly. For example, people have a high tolerance for crying babies, childcare facilities are well-equipped, and mothers have workplace allowances. The government also guarantees parenting time through labor laws, etc. From technology to policies, Israel has created an environment that encourages childbirth and is friendly to parenting. However, even with good incentives, it does not necessarily mean that people are really willing to give birth. So, where does the strong desire of Israelis to have children come from? Bring back everything lost in World War II. There are many reports and information suggesting that this may be related to the fact that the majority of Israelis are Jewish. About 75% of the population in Israel are Jewish, and the traditional Jewish belief is more children, more grandchildren, more blessings. They often live together as a whole extended family and generally do not worry about the problem of not being able to afford to raise children. They also often have many relatives who can help take care of the children. On the other hand, some people point out that the strong desire to have children is deeply rooted in the Jewish people, which may be related to the fact that they lost many compatriots during World War II. At that time, as many as 40% of Jews worldwide lost their lives under Nazi persecution. This made Israel very conscious after its establishment, wanting to reproduce the lost population and strengthen its own nation. Some survivors of World War II have stated that before immigrating to Israel alone, their families had already died in Nazi concentration camps. However, he himself later gave birth to 10 children, and his children gave birth to grandchildren. After 2 or 3 generations, the family has grown to over 70 people. He believes that this is the best revenge against the Nazis. In addition, Israel attaches great importance to military power in order to defend the country. Every newborn child, regardless of gender, must serve in the military, and of course, the more people who can fight, the better. In other words, having children in Israel is not only a personal life plan, but also a matter of national security and national survival. No wonder Israel wants to promote the continuity bill. Posthumous sperm retrieval, not really a new thing. For the Israeli government, every soldier who sacrifices their life for their country is entitled to having their family taken care of after their death, and allowing the family to have a next generation is a great compensation. The proposed continuity law mainly allows doctors to perform posthumous sperm retrieval on recently deceased male soldiers. Although this may sound strange, this technology has actually existed since the late 1970s. According to the initial inventor of the technology, Dr. Rothman, there are 3 methods of sperm retrieval: using a needle to extract sperm from the testicles, or cutting off the testicles and then extracting sperm with a needle, or using electric shocks to help the deceased ejaculate. The second method of cutting first and then extracting is most commonly used for ease of operation. After the sperm is extracted, it is then used in conjunction with in vitro fertilization technology to allow the deceased soldier's wife or surrogate mother to conceive. In the 1990s, British woman Diane Blood became the first person in history to give birth to a child using her deceased husband's sperm. However, despite the fact that this technology has been around for a long time, there have not been many actual cases of its use. This is because sperm is considered genetic material that can create life, unlike other inheritances of the deceased that can be inherited and used freely. Usually, if the deceased family wants to use the retrieved sperm for conception, they need to obtain a special court ruling first to confirm the deceased's wishes, the family's expectations, and considerations for the child's future planning before proceeding with the case. Collecting sperm is easy, giving birth is difficult. Using Israel's past as an example, the most famous case is of a young girl who was born 11 years after her father's death. Her father, Cohen, unfortunately died in a battle in 2002. Since he was not married, Cohen's parents collected his sperm in hopes of finding a surrogate mother to have offspring. They went to court and fought until 2007, when they finally obtained legal permission. It wasn't until 2013 that they found a suitable birth candidate. At the time, the court ruled that Cohen did indeed want children during his lifetime, so his family was allowed to collect sperm to have a child. This precedent also made the deceased's verbal or written will an important criterion for the court's decision-making. However, there are also examples of failed legal battles. For example, in 2017, a couple fought in court to use their son's sperm to give birth to another child to raise as their son. But the judge in this case believed that parents do not have the right to dispose of their son's sperm, and allowing a child to be born in this situation could have negative effects on their mental and physical well-being. Even to this day, this method of reproduction has not yet gained widespread social and legal consensus. Therefore, Israel's continuity law passed in early 2022 has also drawn criticism from many scholars. Intentionally creating more orphans. Critics argue that children born under this law are destined to grow up without a father and that the law is essentially creating orphans on purpose. People know that children will not be born into a healthy family but still choose to have them. In addition, many young people serving in the military are not even married yet, so their children born after their death will have to live with their grandparents and form a skip-generation family. Furthermore, some critics approach the issue from the perspective of childhood development and believe that these children born after their parents' death usually bear special expectations. They may be seen as memorials to deceased sons or husbands and may be burdened with an identity crisis. For example, they may feel that they are not an independent individual but a replica of someone else. Some even criticize that these children are like living memorials built by family members for the deceased. Currently, this bill is still in the first reading stage, and there is no further information on when it will continue to be reviewed, when it will be implemented, or whether the bill will be suspended due to criticism. The impact of the continuity law on society, families, and new life still needs to be further observed. Our viewpoint. We found that the use of a deceased person's sperm to conceive a child involves several complex and large ethical issues, including the ethical considerations of creating a posthumous offspring. What is the best way to promote the mental and physical well-being of the child, and what constitutes a healthy family standard, etc. This is why regulations on posthumous sperm retrieval and in vitro fertilization are very strict in most countries, and there are even many areas that completely prohibit such actions. We believe that measuring a child's happiness is one of the most difficult things to achieve consensus on, whether it be with the Continuity of Family Relationships Bill or other similar cases, because everyone's definition and imagination of a happy family may be very different. Some people believe that a family with both parents alive is a happy family, but we have also seen real cases where children born through posthumous sperm retrieval and in vitro fertilization techniques seem to be living quite happily under the care of many relatives. Finally, if you enjoyed today's video, please share it with others to let more people know why Israelis want to have children even after death. Thanks for your watching.